The most controversial food that people are talking about right now is seed oil, but I'm willing to bet that raw milk is a close, very close second. It's easy to find people who love it and swear by it, and it's even easier to find people who are advising you to never, ever drink it. So you're probably wondering what's going on, and I definitely know I am. Influencers and news segments are trying to make the issue of raw milk a black and white issue, but it's not. There's a lot of nuance to it, but you won't find that if you're reading an article or watching a YouTube video that's already taken a biased stance.
Drinking raw milk is downright dangerous.
You know, even in today's crazy world, I never thought that I would have to ever make a video telling people not to drink unpasteurized milk.
There is a reason we pasteurize milk.
Claiming that it's the most dangerous food in the world or something else along those lines. Unfortunately, we have to dig to find out about the nuance and to find out if what we're eating might be helping us or hurting us. And in terms of raw milk being the deadliest food, we have to look more into the history of milk to find out how valid this opinion is. The truth is, you've probably been lied to about raw milk. It's easy to find people praising raw milk for its claimed ability to help with autoimmune disease, pain, asthma, allergies, eczema, and countless other conditions. And the comments on those videos are often full of people asking for evidence and saying there's no evidence that raw milk helps with any sort of disease whatsoever. In fact, one of the top raw milk producers said this when asked about the health benefits of raw milk in an interview.
I am under injunction by the FDA to not be able to say anything about curing or healing from raw milk. Literally, personally under an injunction, because to say anything about raw milk that says it heals or cures is to create a new drug in America under the Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act.
What I find problematic is the lack of understanding why so many of us are taught from a young age that milk has to be pasteurized in order to consume it. In fact, if you search for videos about raw milk, so many of them say that Louis Pasteur invented pasteurization to kill harmful bacteria in raw milk.
Listen, I'm sure you're going to hear a lot of people talk about the benefits of drinking raw milk, but there is a reason that Louis Pasteur did what he did.
This is a lie. He actually invented the pasteurization process to control populations of lactic acid bacteria in beer and wine to keep them from tasting sour. We'll talk more about pasteurization later in this video. Milk was consumed raw for the thousands of years that humans have been drinking it. Amish in the United States still drink it raw, as do several European countries. We didn't start heat-treating milk through pasteurization until after thousands of infant deaths during the 1850s.
Google the reason why thousands of babies died because of raw milk. You trust Google?
Some claim that these deaths were from raw milk, but that's a stretch. Because the raw milk the people were drinking and giving to their kids during the Industrial Revolution was more than raw milk. It likely was the very first food science disaster. At the time, city-based dairy farms were located near distilleries so that spent grains, called swill, from the whiskey-making process could be fed to the cows in a poor attempt to save money. The cows were starved and force-fed the swill, which created a thin, bluish milk with very little nutrients. Not only that, the cramped, filthy conditions increased the likelihood of milk coming into contact with harmful bacteria. Instead of tossing the tainted milk and feeding the cows hay or grass, they sold the milk anyway and continued to feed the cows swill. The dairies added ingredients like plaster, chalk, eggs, starch, and molasses to improve the color, consistency, and flavor of the milk. Does this sound like raw milk to you? The swill milk was sold as fresh country milk, and the infant death rates increased dramatically. Investigations into the deaths were traced back to the swill milk industry, but it wouldn't be until 1886 that a German agricultural chemist, Franz
von Soxhlet,
came up with the idea of heat treating it through pasteurization. But is this a necessary step for raw milk, or is it a necessary step for the Franken milk created by greedy industrialists to turn a profit? Adding ingredients to milk was eventually outlawed, but cramped, unsanitary, industrialized dairy farms were here to stay. The naysayers will say that raw milk is dangerous and should be avoided at all costs. But the truth is,
4 people died and 30 are hospitalized with listeria. The Food and Drug Administration believes it's a likely link to enoki mushrooms from Sunhong Foods.
2 people are dead and at least 99 have become sick in a salmonella outbreak tied to contaminated cantaloupes.
5:44 right now. The FDA says an outbreak of hepatitis A might be linked to certain brands of frozen strawberries.
A coast-to-coast salmonella outbreak has been linked to breakfast cereal, and Kellogg's is now recalling packages of Honey Smacks.
Enoki mushrooms, cantaloupe, organic frozen strawberries, prepackaged salads, and even dry goods like grains and cereal products have caused more outbreaks and deaths than raw milk has. And we shouldn't leave out oysters or sushi either. Now, if the millions of people that consume raw milk worldwide were consuming raw milk from industrialized dairy farms with poor sanitation practices, the statistics might be different. But that's the point. Right now, there are raw dairies where sanitation and safety are priority. And despite other foods causing disease outbreaks and deaths, the focus remains on raw milk. Social media influencers shitting on raw milk conveniently leave out the story of swill milk, or they just don't know about it at all and assume that all milk 100% contains pathogenic bacteria. This double standard is pretty nuts. To say that raw milk is dangerous without discussing swill milk, industrialized farms, and people around the world that have never stopped drinking raw milk seems incredibly disingenuous. What I don't understand is why so many people are getting upset about what other people are deciding what to eat and what not to eat. If I decide to drink raw milk or to stop eating seed oils, does that decision affect anyone other than myself? A common argument that I've seen is that by drinking raw milk, you're potentially putting stress on the healthcare system because you might get food poisoning, so you might have to go to the ER. But even if this were true, what about the countless outbreaks from other foods? And even further, what about the people who are eating potato chips, donuts, fast food, and all sorts of processed food every day? Aren't these people putting even more stress on the healthcare system? And if so, why limit your condemnation and criticism to solely raw milk? But what do you think? Should more foods be outlawed because they pose the risk of food poisoning? Or should raw milk be legalized? Let us know in the comments below. For a much more detailed history of raw milk, please check out my video linked in the description. I'm trying to understand why raw milk is such a controversial topic because the documented evidence of foodborne illnesses, outbreaks, and deaths doesn't make it out to be any more dangerous than a prepackaged fruit salad. Influencers and news articles are really trying to make this a binary issue, but it's not. There's so much nuance to it, and there's nuance in any issue. If you drink raw milk from run-of-the-mill industrial dairy farms, yeah, you're probably going to get sick. But if you drink raw milk from a responsible dairy farm, your health might actually improve, if for no other reason that it's an incredibly nutrient-dense food. If you had to choose between a soda and raw milk, which do you think would be better for your health? This isn't a team sport. This isn't a black and white issue. And honestly, it's okay to be in the middle about this type of thing. I'm not advising anyone to go buy and consume raw milk, but if you do, make sure it's from a reputable farm that cares about the cleanliness and quality of their raw milk. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to help with the algorithm. If you have any stories about trying raw milk or not being able to get it, please share it in the comments below. Thanks again, and take care.